Alright guys, this video is going to be about a brand new game I just picked up called Dynasty Dynasty. The game was only released yesterday by the way, so if you guys want to give it a try, then just download it. You definitely haven't missed out much. And it's a 3 versus 3 basketball game. And what's really nice about this game is that it's officially licensed by NBA, so all of the players here are actually based on real life basketball players. And it's not just the people who are playing in the league right now, you also get those legends from the past. So for example, Paul Gasol. If you actually take a look at how they're displayed, I think the dev done a pretty good job. Like aesthetically, they do resemble how they look like in real life. And a lot of the skills and also moves, etc., are pretty similar with fair representation of some of the things they've done in real life games as well. So I definitely think if you're a fan of basketball, this is definitely worth trying. Or just kind of in general, if you're just a fan of gacha game, this game could be interesting as well, purely because it's a sports game, so that basically means it's actually very skill dominated at the same time. So even if you're completely free to play, if you have the right game knowledge and also gameplay, you can definitely dominate the match against any pay to win players who don't know how to play the game properly, etc. Um, so yeah, so that's basically, I guess, a quick intro for this game if you are interested into playing it. Now, because it's a brand new game, what I'm going to do is probably like a series of beginner guides, and the first one is obviously going to be about the players because that's kind of where all the hype is, etc. Now, the first thing I'm going to call out is that even though this game is was only released globally yesterday, it has actually been out in China for a year or so. But one thing is the characters were released in completely different order in China, and we basically have a slightly different roster to any point in time that the Chinese version ever had. And what that basically means is that if you are taking any reference to Chinese tier list, do bear that in mind that because this is a basketball game, a lot of time there's kind of this countering relationship between the players. So for example, one player could be very strong because they hard counter another OP player, or one character is actually very strong by themselves, but just in the meta at that point in time, they were hard countered by other players who may not even be in our version of the game yet. So that basically means is that you need to take it with a pinch of salt when you are looking through any Chinese tier list, because the reason why they play certain characters high or low may not actually be how strong the characters they are, but more due to the meta environment in China at that point. And that may not actually be directly applicable to the global server because we obviously have a different composition of character, etc. So just take that with a pinch of salt, okay? Now, this game actually do offer kind of like an in-game tier for the different characters as well. It's not actually very easy to tell. For example, in other gacha game, you could get like the SSRs versus the SRs versus R units, etc. The rare units were super rare. In this game, you can't actually tell it by looking at the pictures. But the way you actually tell who they are is basically if you actually go into the shop section, if you go into items, you can then basically see some characters who you can actually buy their copies with just gold coins, whereas other characters you can't actually buy their copy with coins. Instead, the only thing you can buy is their talent card, and you have to spend cubes. And basically, that's how you can tell the different tiers. So at the lowest tier, you have these 7 characters who you can literally just dupe out, max dupe them with gold coins. They are pretty much the worst characters in the game. I mean, some of them, I think like Adam, for example, I just think is quite decent. The two center, I think, are both decent. Kuminga is okay as well. But otherwise, the others are just not as good as the elite or the superstar players in this game. And then if you go into this talent card section, you can then realize there are the 6 superstars who actually have a card with their pictures on them, with their face on it. And then you have this one which is a universal card, which can be used for all of the other elite players. And that kind of corresponds to the supply crate here as well. So basically for the superstar, obviously you summon them in these 2 banners, depending on whether they are currently playing in league or whether they are kind of the legend from the past. And then all of the ones where you can use that universal talent card would be the ones that are in this elite player banner. And that's the one where you can get 1 free summon every 12 hours. And also you can choose whichever player you want to be guaranteed every 7 days as well. So those are kind of, I guess, the free to play characters because you're guaranteed to be able to get them. And you can also get their talent cards. You don't even have to buy them with Cube because this game does give you various different events where you're able to collect all of them, etc. Okay, so you don't even need to buy them with Cube set. You can very easily just you know max out their talents through the very different events, etc. Whereas for the other superstars, you actually have to buy their talent cards every single week, trying to max them out, etc. So that's kind of where they then become kind of the more pay to win section, etc. Okay, now knowing of the different tiers of the characters now, let's just quickly go through the characters and just kind of talk about which ones are the ones that you want to focus on. Now, I'm gonna be honest, vast majority of characters in this game are playable. Obviously, the superstars are slightly better just in general, but a lot of the free-to-play options are very good as well. Now, let's start off with the centers. So basically, you have the Joker and the Gato. They are basically the pay-to-win character, so they're the superstars. Both of them are more suited for if you have to have a three-pointer in your team, and therefore you can kind of draw out the distance because both of them can actually shoot threes. So that's kind of what makes them special. Otherwise, you don't have the traditional character, which is Adebayo and Capella. They're both good. Adebayo is a bit more a bit faster than Capella, whereas Capella have better rebound and block. So depending on whether you want a center who just kind of squatting down under the basket because the enemy have lots of dunk, etc., in which case Capella is going to be better. Otherwise, Adebayo is probably going to be slightly better. Adebayo is basically going to be slightly better to actually help you to assist defense in case one of your teammates lost their target, etc. So that's pretty much it. The others you can ignore; they're just not as good as the four I mentioned. Then if we go into power forward, Kuminga is a bit of a special case because he can shoot threes, so he's not actually very hard to defend, but it's very annoying in the sense that if he is actually corresponding to the enemy center, then you are forcing the enemy center to guard him away from the basket, and then that could potentially leave you open to a lot of the dunks, etc. So he is a bit of a special case. I think he's worth considering, but it's a pretty boring game style. You kind of just wait on the baseline in case for a three, open three, etc. Julio is actually the character I personally picked from my elite crate, and I highly recommend him. I might do a character guide for him in the future. Now he's an original character, so I totally get it if you don't want to play him. But he's very good in the sense that he can assist a lot of defense, and he can also assist with rebound, etc. And that kind of makes him an all-rounder who can do everything. He can help out in the offensive capability as well. So he is really, really good. And then you get Giannis. Giannis is superstar. He's like a dunking monster, but what makes him really strong is when he gets the Super Saiyan mode, I guess, where he basically does everything so much better. So the thing with him is that obviously, first of all, he's expensive, not just because he's a superstar, but also if you actually take a look at his enhance, a lot of his dupes are very, very important. For example, this one, this is crazy strong. Each failed rebound is going to increase your rebound by another 12 and defensive rebound by another 8. This is absolutely crazy. That basically just makes him a super, super expensive character because you not only want to max him in terms of his talents, but also duping him out, etc. But he's definitely very good. The only disadvantage of him is that he's not able to shoot open mid-range attack. So he is kind of forcing you to basically not able to open up the space because he will just keep on dunking, etc., with his offensive moves. So that's kind of the only annoying thing with him. Williamson is very similar to Giannis. He's also kind of a bit of like a dunking monster, not able to do any kind of mid-range shots. So he is essentially like a budget version of Giannis. As for the other two, I personally don't find them very special. So I think if you do want to go for a power forward, it's probably going to be somewhere. In fact, I'm not even going to recommend Kuminga. It's normally going to be either Williamson, who you can get for free on the third day, or it'll be Julio, who, by the way, you can also pick from your battle pass, by the way. So in the battle pass, I mean, this is more later on, but once you reach level 50, you can actually get the street baller choice, and one of them is Julio as well. So you can also pick up him from that. Then let's go to the small forward. LeBron James is obviously the best choice. Very strong defensively and can shoot, have that offensive capability as well. So he's definitely interesting. Who else? Paul George. Everyone can get him on day 2. Very strong as well. More of a defensive player because of this trait. So basically, it allows him to make a lot of the defensive move in order to guarantee a 3-pointer with his ultimate attack. So he's kind of like a balanced character who can both defend and also have that offensive capability. So you can't just leave him away all the time. DeRozan is much more offensive focused, and then you also get this original character Fuzi, who is able to basically his ult is able to do 100% guaranteed steal, which is also very crazy, and that can turn the match around. So I think probably those 4 are basically what I'm gonna recommend. The others, they are okay to be honest, but they are just kind of outclassed by Paul George, who you can guarantee for free on the second day. So why wouldn't you pick him, right? So that's kind of the choices for small forward. Then for shoot guard, Booker, Thompson, Clarkson, all three of them are so much better than everyone else. So I think you probably just focus on one of those three if you want to play that shoot guard role. And then point guard, Curry, obviously. Curry is very, very strong, but he a lot of time need a good screener. So if you're actually playing in a trio with an actual dedicated teammate, like a center who can actually screen for you, for example, Jovic or Gasol, he will be great. But for solo player, maybe slightly harder. For solo player, the superstar you're probably looking for is actually going to be SGA. So that's basically, I guess, my recommendation in terms of which superstar you want to pick out of those two. But other than that, there are actually loads of good free-to-play option here. You have Doncic and Murray. Both of them are very, very strong. They probably need screen as well to help you out, but other than that, they are both very strong players. And lastly, a special mention to Chris Paul as well. Mainly he's useful chasing after loose balls with his disability, diving safe. And there's actually a bit of like, I guess, a niche or cheeky composition in the Chinese meta, where you just keep on dunking with Giannis and Williamson, etc., and you just have Chris Paul chasing after the loose ball, even if they get blocked, etc. So that's kind of why he deserves a special mention here as well. Okay, now the last tip I'm going to give in this video is going to be this elite player summon crate and which one do you actually want to designate. Now, a lot of people's first reaction may be, I want to pick a character that I didn't have before because I don't want to build a whole box of different characters or collect them all or just have, more choices to choose from. The problem is that to be honest, even if you have lots of characters, you don't have enough resources to level everyone up. And then the second thing is that, as I mentioned earlier, there are actually loads of free-to-play options in every single position already. So there's actually no need for you to get multiple options for the same position, even if you're a solo player, etc. So instead, what I actually strongly recommend people to do is just choose your favorite player and keep on getting dupes of them. Because in this game, dupes are actually very, very important for two reasons. One is that if you have dupe, obviously you can actually enhance the character, and a lot of those enhancements not only gives really useful attribute, but also unlock additional skills which can be very, very overpowered over time. So basically, you definitely want to dupe out your favorite player or the one you play the most as early as possible. And the second nice thing about duping a character is that once you actually max out a character, any dupes you then get will automatically be converted to the star or player fragment, which you can then go into the shop to actually exchange for the enhanced card for one of your superstar. And that basically allows a way for your free-to-play players to just summon the character once, summon those pay-to-win character once, those superstars once, and then rather than needing to spend a lot more cubes or diamonds to actually further duping them out, you would just be using the duping fragment from one character you have already maxed out. And this way, the earlier you actually max out one of your character, the earlier you can then start collecting those fragments, and therefore you would be much, much easier for you to actually then dupe out one of those superstar characters in comparison to other free-to-play players, etc. So that's kind of what I strongly recommend, rather than try to spray your fire and just try to pick a different designated character every single week here. You actually just focus on one character and just duping him out as quickly as possible, and then afterwards any fragments from his dupes can then be used to actually allow you to dupe out your superstars